The man stays in a hotel with his wife to make a baby. In the heat of passion, Sedat suddenly spots his mistress lurking at the door, her eyes blazing with jealousy. He leaps off the bed in a panic, finds an excuse to get his wife out of the hotel and sends her away. He then returns to the room where he and his mistress resume their tryst, lingering in each other's arms. Back home, Sedat is still burning with desire. He bombards Kana with flirty texts. Unexpectedly, her husband Alp catches sight of them. He instantly realizes his wife has cheated on him. In a fit of anger, he files for divorce from Kana, demanding she leave with nothing and stay away from their 2 children. Kana has no choice but to approach Sedat to discuss a solution. Once Alp exposes their affair to the media, both of them are ruined. For Sedat, it would mean the end of his bid for the chairman's seat. His parents and even his wife's family would never forgive him. A sudden fear grips Sedat, and he hurries away from Kana. He figures that if only he and Nalan have a child, their parents will be satisfied, and then he'll have nothing to fear. Yet Nalan isn't eager to start trying for a baby right away, so he takes drastic action. He drags Nalan back to her mother's house, counting on her mother to force her to comply. Sedat says he's envious of his sister's pregnancy and longs to be a father too, though it's proving difficult since Nalan doesn't want a child right now. At this, Mama's brows knit together darkly. Nalan never expects Sedat to pin the blame on her, and she's utterly disappointed. Mama finds an excuse to take Nalan alone to that basement, the one that's tormented her for decades. Staring at the blood-stained wooden spoon, Nalan is terrified Mama will hit her with it again. Tears welling in her eyes, Nalan apologizes to Mama, vowing to obey her and do whatever she asks. Mama warns her coldly, if you want freedom, you must have a child. That's the only way to get rid of me. Moments later, Mama leads Nalan back to the living room and announces that they have reached an agreement. Nalan's changed her mind. She wants to be a mother at once. Nalan forces a smile and nods in agreement. Sedat suspects she's been taught a lesson, but he doesn't care. His plan worked. Joy bubbles up in him. Yet his happiness lasts less than a minute before Kana's husband Alp shows up at the door. 2 hours earlier, Alp was making lunch for the kids at home when his daughter complained that his cooking was terrible and wanted Kana to come back. Just then, Kana sent a video. In it, their former nanny accused Alp of having harassed her. She'd stayed silent back then, feeling powerless, but now that Kana was backing her, she'd decided to speak up. Kana intended to use this to threaten Alp into giving up custody. But Alp refused to give in, terrified that his 2 young kids would be corrupted by that morally depraved woman. So he plans to tell Nalan the truth and persuade her to join forces with him to take down that pair of adulterers. The moment Sedat sees Alp, he's nearly scared to death, but fortunately, his mother-in-law steps in to shield him from everything. Mama drags Alp into the yard and tells him sharply to go back, sort things out with Kana on their own, and not come here to bother her daughter. Alp flies into a rage and snaps back at her. Kana and Sedat have been playing all of us for fools. Can you really tolerate them treating your daughter like this? Or are you protecting your son-in-law because of money? Mama scolds him for his vulgarity. To her, the most precious thing in the world is honor. She'll never let her daughter get a divorce. It would only leave a stain on the family. Even if Nalan's marriage is unhappy, she has to keep going. Alp has never seen such a selfish mother. He tries to rush in to tell Nalan everything, but Mama clings tightly to him. Mama promises to find a time for him to meet Nalan alone. Only then does she manage to persuade him to leave. After that, Mama goes over to Sedat. Using the excuse that his pants are stained with tea and she'll help him clean the spot, she leads him to the basement. The place is laid out like a prison cell for prisoners. Sedat breaks out in goosebumps. Mama dabs baking soda water onto his suit pants. He explains to her that it's all a misunderstanding, that he's always seen Kana as an older sister. However, Mama spits in his face and snarls that he's really a piece of work. From the first time I laid eyes on you, I knew you were a bastard. Don't think no one knows about the filthy things you and Kana did in that hotel bathroom on your wedding night. I only pretended not to see it to spare my daughter the heartache. Sedat is terrified out of his wits. But Mama says she has a way to get him out of this mess. After all, she doesn't want her daughter to be hurt. At the news that Mama is willing to help him, Sedat immediately backs down. He promises he'll never entangle himself with Kana again and will most certainly treat Nalan well. Immediately after, Mama storms into the hotel where Kana is staying, seizes her by the neck, and grinds her roughly against the wall. She warns Kana to stay away from her daughter and son-in-law or she'll snap her neck. Kana appeals to Mama's sympathy by invoking their shared identity as mothers, convincing her to let go. "We're the same, we just want our kids to be happy." Mama says she'll help her fight for custody of the kids on the condition that she leaves Sedat for good. With no other options, Kana has to agree. Mama gives Kana a crash course in acting, making her practice kneeling and begging Alp for forgiveness. At first, Kana pulls a long face that's obviously fake with not a single tear. The poor acting makes Mama cringe, so she has to coach her hand in hand on how to look genuinely pitiful. Once the lesson is over, Mama calls Alp and tricks him into coming to the seaside at night to meet Nalan. Kana follows Mama's instructions to cling tightly to her husband, putting on a tragic show. When Alp remains unmoved, Kana drops to her knees, screaming at the top of her lungs, "I love you! I only made a mistake because I was muddled for a moment. Please forgive me." Honestly, it's so moving it brings tears to my eyes. But Alp makes it clear he'll never put his trust in a woman who's been unfaithful to him. Even when Kana threatens to kill herself, Alp just walks away calmly. Mama steps out from behind the tree and says Kana's task is done. The seed of forgiveness has been planted in Alp. Now the rest is up to Mama. The next day, news that Alp is filing for divorce from Kana tops the list of trending topics. Reporters specifically note that Kana has been secretly seeing a young bachelor since her marriage. The three siblings and their mother all know tacitly who this refers to, while only Mr. Koroglu and Nalan remain in the dark. Mr. Koroglu angrily says that man deserves to be hanged on the gallows. Their back-and-forth criticism leaves Sedat breaking out in a cold sweat. Nalan is also curious about who is having an affair with Kana. Guilty through and through, Sedat can't even meet his wife's gaze. He tries to steer the conversation away with affectionate gestures, but Nalan resists, pushing him off. Sedat's betrayal in front of her mother has left a rift in Nalan's heart. Helpless, Sedat promises to honor every choice she makes. Meanwhile, Kana calls the maid, telling her to keep the children away from the TV and phone. But it is already too late. Her kids have seen her scandal. And that's what pushes Kana to completely fall apart. Today marks Mr. and Mrs. Koroglu's 35th wedding anniversary. Selma talks over with Nalan about planning a surprise for the couple. Nalan calls Mama to invite her to the party. Mama, struck by a sudden idea, plans to use this opportunity to smooth over the scandal of Kana and Alp's divorce. She goes alone to Alp's house, telling him to join the Koroglu's anniversary gathering to calm the divorce rumors. Alp refuses without hesitation, not wanting to associate with those insincere people. Mama whips out her trump card, playing a video from Kana to threaten Alp. Alp once harassed a maid and had her deported, and the maid holds irrefutable evidence. If exposed, it will ruin Alp's chances of winning custody of their children. Alp flies into a rage, but this leverage forces him to give in. In the evening, Mr. Koroglu picks a red rose from the garden as a gift for his wife. Mrs. Koroglu's joy is evident. It is the first time her frugal husband has given her anything in 35 years of marriage. She happily pulls out an expensive watch as a gift for him, but his expression shifts instantly. He demands to know where she got the money for such a costly item. Mrs. Koroglu stammers that she saved it up over time, adding she can return it if he dislikes it. Mr. Koroglu is touched by how much she has sacrificed for him. So when he sees so many reporters and guests arriving, for once he does not lose his temper over the extravagance. Kana seizes the opportunity to tell reporters the scandals are completely false. She and her husband are very much in love. Alp, under Mama's threat, reluctantly plays along, putting on a show of affection in front of everyone and denying rumors of their marriage breaking down. However, you can buy one person over, but not the rest. After the dance, Selma plans to play a video chronicling her parents' love story as a little surprise. Just then, Nalan excuses herself to use the restroom. As the screen slowly lowers, everyone freezes in shock. It is surveillance footage of Sedat and Kana kissing in the parking lot a few days earlier. Just as Nalan is about to step into the hall, Harry, fearing she will be heartbroken if she sees it, dashes forward to turn off the computer and yank out the USB. Mr. Koroglu is so enraged, he spits up blood. What should have been a joyful anniversary nearly turns into a funeral. Chaos erupts in the venue. Nalan, who missed the footage, looks completely confused. Sedat is so nervous his heart feels like it is in his throat. Mr. Koroglu, afraid of losing such a good daughter-in-law, says nothing more than that he just had a sudden heart issue and is fine. The others play along, hiding the truth from Nalan. Naive as she is, Nalan notices nothing amiss and fails to pick up on their hidden meanings. Late at night, Selma seeks out Muzo to talk with him about who exactly swapped the video. Yet Sedat bursts in furiously, confronting Selma and demanding to know. To fight for the chairman's seat, you'd actually ruin me in such a dirty way? That's downright vicious. Selma swears she'd never pull such a sneaky stunt, but he refuses to believe her. The two explode into a heated argument. Muzo tries to calm Sedat down, but his intervention only makes Sedat think they're in cahoots. Sedat hurls a threat. He'll never back down to them, and that chairman's position is his for the taking. The two can only sigh in helplessness, worrying over their brother's less than stellar intelligence. Desperate to win their father's support, Sedat puts on a show of filial piety. He throws his arms around Mr. Koroglu, sobbing that he's terrified of losing him. Mr. Koroglu reassures him that he only has a heart condition and won't die. Let's be real, that performance could probably only fool himself. Even the naive Nalan can see through his little scheme. Mr. Koroglu says his health is not as good as it used to be. Once Sedat wraps up the loan signing, he plans to hand over the company's reins to the right child. Sedat, convinced victory is his, smirks triumphantly. Little does he know, as soon as Mr. Koroglu turns away, he summons Selma to his room. He tells her he's decided to make her chairman. Muzo has no taste for fame or fortune, nor does he enjoy socializing. He's only fit to be a right-hand man. Sedat is a lost cause, always sneaking around and lying. It seems now that only Selma is reliable and up to the task. Mr. Koroglu repeatedly tells Selma to keep it a secret until Sedat finishes the loan project. But Selma can't contain herself. She shares the news with her husband Levent, wondering aloud why her father suddenly made such a big decision. Levent is so thrilled that he spins around 10 times, exclaiming that his efforts have finally paid off. It turns out Levent was the one who swapped the video of Sedat and Cana's tryst. This way, he could make Mr. Koroglu lose trust in Sedat, thereby helping his wife secure the chairman position. Selma blows up instantly, snapping at her husband for going too far. No matter what Sedat did, he's still my brother. How could you ruin him with such low tricks? If my father finds out you did this, you're finished. Levent insists he was only trying to help her with all his heart. The two spiral into a furious fight. On the other side, Cana returns home happily, thinking her husband has forgiven her. Alp tells her not to overthink it, he's only doing this for the kids, which is why he's willing to give her one last chance. Cana showers her husband with affection, promising that from now on, her heart and eyes will be fixed only on him. The next day, Mr. Koroglu visits Cana's house to talk some sense into her. As he and her father are old family friends with business ties, he has no desire to push Cana into a corner. He urges her to stay away from Sedat and set a good example for her children. If your kids end up in a situation like Nalan's someday, won't they be heartbroken? You may not feel ashamed, but at least think about your children. His words strike a deep chord with Cana. Just then, Sedat calls, happily sharing his excitement. He'll be taking the chairman's seat tomorrow. He sneers, "My father's a fool, he knows nothing." Cana, awkwardly glancing at Mr. Koroglu, declares she'll cut off all ties with Sedat and urges him to go back to his wife. Cana is overwhelmed with regret. Her past actions didn't just degrade herself, but hurt others too. Unluckily for Sedat, before he's even recovered from his romantic setbacks, a huge blow hits his career. Today's the day Mr. Koroglu will announce the successor to the chairman's position. Sedat has successfully secured the loan, a major contribution to the company. Thinking of the supreme power soon to be his, he grins from ear to ear. Mr. Koroglu takes out 3 share transfer documents, asking his 3 children to transfer their respective shares back to him, starting with the youngest, Sedat. Convinced he's already won, Sedat doesn't hesitate to sign his name. But no sooner has he finished than Mr. Koroglu drops his kind demeanor and scolds them one by one. He admits that talk of stepping down as chairman was just a test to see if they'd support each other with sincerity. The result? A complete disappointment. They'd all schemed and fought tooth and nail over the position, treating him like a senile fool. Mr. Koroglu, standing in a commanding posture, makes it clear he's privy to their every move. He walks over to Selma and demands she divorce her husband. He's long known it was Levent who swapped the video. This family has no room for someone who doesn't value kinship. Next, he rails at Sedat for his outrageous behavior, which has tarnished the family name. From this moment on, he'll reclaim all of Sedat's assets and pass the inheritance to Selma. Sedat, burning with hatred for his sister, finally realizes he's just a pawn his father used. Unwilling to accept this, he grabs the share transfer document and runs off. It's his entire fortune after all. Wealth and fame mean little to Muzo. He doesn't hesitate to sign the share transfer papers, but his father stops him. It's only meant for Sedat, that unfilial son. Mr. Koroglu tells Selin he'll hand over full control of the company only if she divorces Levent. But Selin knows her husband's underhanded tricks were all to help her rise to the top. For years, Selin has lived under her father's control. She's had enough. She refuses to be his shadow any longer. From today, she'll live for herself. Selin signs the share transfer document, slamming it down in front of her father. She'll prove with her actions that she can thrive even without it all. Mr. Koroglu is enraged and rips the share transfer document to pieces. Though reluctant, Selin ignores her mother and brother's tearful pleadings and desperate attempts to keep her, leaving the mansion with her husband. She has chosen her husband, determined to build a new family with him. That evening, Nalan returns home to a shock. Everyone in the house is gone except her father-in-law and mother-in-law. Mr. Koroglu tells her not to worry. They just had a little argument during the meeting and gone out to clear their heads, that's all. Nalan goes to her room and calls Sedat, but there's no answer. Fearing something has happened to her husband, she stays up all night, unable to sleep. Sedat, on the other hand, gives no thought to her at all. He tracks down Javet, his father's lifelong rival, and offers to transfer his shares to him for $200 million. But that is no small sum, and Javet needs time to gather the money. Sedat gives him 2 days to prepare. Javet can't believe it. For all his shrewdness, his archenemy has raised such a reckless, worthless son. Sedat can't stomach his family's betrayal. In that house, he is worth less than a woman who came from outside. Everyone bends over backward to protect Nalan, while only blaming him. He begins to loathe the marriage his father arranged, convinced that Nalan is the source of all his misfortune. He yanks off his wedding ring and hurls it fiercely into the sea. He's determined to break free from his parents' control once and for all. Sedat brazenly heads to a bar, flirting with a stranger without restraint. Even though he's disguised himself, someone recognizes him and secretly texts a reporter. Sedat is leading the woman to a hotel room when, just as they enter the alley, they run into the reporter. Meanwhile, Mrs. Koroglu confronts her husband about what he did to the children at the company. Selin had left without rhyme or reason, and now Sedat is missing too. Mr. Koroglu says they're just being selfish. They left the company because they didn't get what they wanted. Mrs. Koroglu knows her husband's true nature. He never had any intention of letting go of power. She doesn't care whether the company thrives or not. She just wants her children to come back safe and sound. As his family members leave one by one, Mr. Koroglu feels a deep loneliness. Only his driver, Harry, is willing to sit with him, listening as he pours out his troubles. But he remains as stubborn as ever, unable to understand his children. This is Maroon Recap. Check out my homepage and you'll see more recaps of Camdaki Kiz. I'm hastening to write and edit the next recap, so feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.